Hi, my name is Alana, and I was wondering if you were a soldier in the French and Indian War, would you survive?
If you were a soldier in the French and Indian War, would you survive? That's a very difficult question to answer because it really all depends on where you are in the conflict. It's important to remember that while we refer to it as the French and Indian War, we're really only referring to the North American conflict that took part in a larger global conflict that took place in Europe, the Caribbean, in the Philippines, in India, all around the world. And it's very difficult to really nail down what the casualty numbers are for the time because we had varying types of combatants. Here in North America alone, you had British regulars, you had American colonial militia, you even had colonial regiments who were regular soldiers. In fact, George Washington was the colonel and commander-in-chief of the Virginia Regiment, a permanent force for Virginia's defense. And then, of course, you also had the native tribes who were allied both with the French and the British. So getting firm numbers is very difficult. But what we can do is look at specific campaigns. General Washington, of course, took part in the Braddock campaign to try and take Fort Duquesne in modern-day Pittsburgh. In that conflict, the British were surprised by the French and their native allies, and 2/3 of all the British forces were casualties. General Washington, of course, famously was not a casualty in that conflict and helped make a name for himself, leading an organized retreat back out of that space. The French, on the other side, the attackers in that conflict, only suffered about 20 casualties in total. We can look at the numbers for major campaigns for the French and Indian War, and in 1759 there were an estimate 50,000 combatants, and there were about 11,300 casualties total. So what you're seeing is about 22 out of every 100 soldiers was a casualty, meaning deaths or injury. But another big part of that was illnesses and disease. That was a major part of conflict in the 18th century. You get a lot of people very close together, and oftentimes the hygiene was not very great. Now, General Washington, as commander-in-chief of the Virginia Regiment, was in charge of the safety of the Virginia frontier. And oftentimes, you're going to see fewer deaths or casualties from combat and more from illness.
Click the subscribe button below and the bell icon to get notifications for new videos about George Washington and behind-the-scenes work at Mount Vernon.